This is Evan Petzold after the Detroit Tigers' 5-1 win against the Texas Rangers in the second of 3 games, Saturday, May 2nd, here at Comerica Park. We have a lot to discuss in this one. Keider Montero, right-hander, he's given the Tigers quality and quantity much needed today. Then you have the offense scoring 5 runs within the first 2 innings against Rangers right-hander Kumar Rocker. But let's go before the game and talk about some news that happened. The big news of the day, right-handed reliever Will Vest has been placed on the injured list. It's the 15-day injured list. It is right lateral forearm inflammation that's affecting the outside of his right elbow. The Tigers delayed this for as long as they could, but the symptoms just weren't getting any better. He continued to have soreness in that area, and so the Tigers ultimately decided to put him on the injured list. He's been dealing with this for a few days now. They were hoping that it would get better, and it just never got better. So Will Vest to the injured list. He's going to need more medical testing, so we don't know the severity of the injury, and the timeline is very unclear. We're not sure what to expect. Right now, it's a forearm issue that's impacting the elbow. It's always scary when you hear that. But Will Vest, he's going to need more medical evaluation before we have some more clarity on this injury, what it means for the Tigers moving forward. We also found out that Kenley Jansen, the Tigers closer, he's dealing with something as well. It's a right groin / lower abdominal issue. It's happening on his plant foot where he pushes off the mound. So that's concerning because he's been day-to-day. The Tigers have not put Kenley Jansen on the injured list, but they haven't been able to use him because he's day-to-day. Manager AJ Hinch, he checks in with Kenley every day to see how he's doing. And right now, Jansen has not been able to go. So there isn't a timetable in terms of when he'll be able to be back. The Tigers feel like they're going to avoid an injured list stint with Jansen. So seems like best case scenario in terms of what he's dealing with. But until we see him out on the mound, it feels like it's up in the air. In terms of Will Vest, the corresponding roster move, the Tigers called up Ricky Vanasco from AAA Toledo. He has been a strikeout machine for the Mud Hens, a 47.5% strikeout rate. That's 4th most among all pitchers in the minor leagues at all levels, among those who have at least 15 innings of work. So Ricky Vanasco brings with him a strikeout profile. He struggled to command his pitches in the past, so we'll see if that's an issue that he struggles with this time around. But he was commanding his pitches in AAA, and he was getting strikeouts as well, so that's a good mixture there. Hopefully he can bring that to the big leagues. The Tigers could really use some more swing and miss in their bullpen. In terms of Will Vest and the injury there, let's go directly to manager AJ Hinch just to hear a little bit more about that, and then we'll get on to what happened in Saturday's game.
Put Will Vest on the injured list with a right lateral forearm inflammation, and what that is on the outside of the elbow. He's been battling the last few days in figuring out his availability. We've run out of time of waiting as we continue to find a solution for this. He pitched in Cincinnati. We had the off day on Tuesday in Atlanta. He reported this inflammation. We got him checked out, and there were times in the last 3 or 4 days we thought we were going to get a breakthrough and have him be available. He wasn't, and he continues to report the same soreness despite our efforts to get him back on the field. So he's going to go under further testing and more extensive testing. The initial tests have all come back with no obvious structural issue or anything like that. So that's encouraging that it's just inflammation, but it's on the lateral outside of his arm, on his forearm. So he's just unable. And when it gets to 3 and 4 days, we can backdate it, but we've run out of time of waiting. So Ricky Vanasco is here. He's going to be active. We'll purchase his contract. He's been incredible in AAA. And to make room on the 40, we've designated Corret off the 40. So busy day of transactions and some health clarifications on how, I've been talking about our bullpen being beat up and not available. We've been trying to search for answers, and we're still in that search of answers.
As for Saturday's game, a 5-1 win for the Tigers, pulling them back to an even 500 record, 17-17 on the season. All credit goes to Keider Montero in this one. We'll give some credit to the offense as well, but Keider Montero was just excellent. He goes 6 2/3 innings. He does it on 85 pitches, so he was incredibly efficient. He pitched deep in the game. He probably could have gone even further, but the The Tigers turn things over to Drew Anderson, who's been outstanding over his last 4 outings. It's been 9 innings over his last 4 games. It's been 12 strikeouts to 2 walks. He's pitching with much more intent, much more conviction. And Keider Montero is doing the same thing. He seems like he's the most comfortable that he's been in the big leagues. It's been really impressive to watch him work, and the Tigers needed every bit of it. We talked about where the Tigers bullpen was at with, Will Vest going down with an injury. Kenley Jansen, he's banged up and was probably unavailable in this one. And they're coming off a game where Jack Flaherty struggled and wasn't able to give them the length that the Tigers needed. So the bullpen's been taxed. They're going into a bullpen game in Sunday's series finale. Left-hander Tyler Holton is going to start that one, and it's going to be mixing and matching and putting the puzzle pieces together. It's a bullpen game. So you really need to have a good day before a bullpen game. The worst case scenario would have been Montero being unable to get through 3 or 4 innings. But in this case, he was able to pitch into the 7th inning. That was big for the Tigers, and it sets them up to have a successful series finale on Sunday. And then shout out to the offense, getting to Kumar Rocker. It was a really big moment in the first inning where Gleyber Torres gets thrown out at the plate trying to score from second base. He's one of the Tigers' slowest players. He's actually the slowest player on the Tigers roster. Third base coach Joey Cora sends him anyway. The ball was hit out to Ezekiel Duran, who has a strong arm out there in right field, and he gunned him down. Gleyber Torres out at the plate. It seemed like the Tigers were going to waste a big opportunity, but 2 strikes, 2 outs in the first inning. Kumar Rocker throws a slider in there to Dillon Dingler, and he absolutely demolishes it for a 3-run home run. That puts the Tigers up 3-0 in the first inning. That's a huge momentum shift. AJ Hinch had talked about this after the game. From the Rangers thinking, hey, we're about to get out of this, to, okay, now it's a 3-0 deficit that we have to try to claw back from. And that put Keider Montero in a position to just be on the attack. We saw the Rangers, they were swinging early, a lot of first pitch swings, and they did get rewarded for it on their first hit of the game with 2 outs in the 4th inning, a home run from Jake Berger. But aside from that, he was able to pitch to contact and was able to get early outs. Not a ton of swing and miss, not a ton of strikeouts, but he was efficient for a reason. I think that 3-run cushion that he got early, and then of course the Tigers scored 2 more runs in the second inning, so it was really a 5-run cushion. I think that put Montero in a good position to just be in attack mode and pitch to his strengths, but also be aware of the fact that if the Rangers are going to swing early in counts, let's get easy outs and, be able to pitch as deep as possible into the game, and he did just that. The one thing to note, and it's a concern, Gleyber Torres, he left the game before the 4th inning. We mentioned he got thrown out at the plate in the first inning. Well, he stayed in the game and he got an RBI single in the second inning, but then suddenly he came out of the game before the 4th inning, replaced by Hao-Yu Lee. It was left side tightness. He's went to go get more testing. There was no update from AJ Hinch post game, so we'll have to wait until before Sunday's game to learn a little bit more about Gleyber Torres. But he did have that left oblique injury at the beginning of last season, the 2025 season. Now it's a left side tightness. It makes you wonder, is it that oblique again that's flaring up on him? Hopefully not, but he wasn't available post-game. AJ Hinch didn't have any updates, and it just makes you wonder if the Tigers could be in store for another placement on the injured list. And if that is the case, who could be coming up in replace of Gleyber Torres? Maybe it's Zach Short, whom the Tigers traded for recently. He's an ex-Tiger, an old friend. The Tigers traded for him from the Washington Nationals. He's not on the 40-man roster. Gage Workman, maybe he could be an option. He's not on the 40-man roster. Or maybe Zach McKinstry, who has been injured, but he had his rehab assignment transferred from Low A Lakeland to Triple A Toledo recently. Maybe he becomes an option, whereas the Tigers probably would have liked to give him a few more days in Toledo. Maybe they accelerate that process and bring him back to the big leagues. And it doesn't mean he has to start, but it could just make him available off the bench in case the Tigers need him in a late game situation, or somebody else gets hurt and then they need a defensive replacement. I could see Zach McKinstry fitting in for just a few days in that kind of role before he's back to full go. So we'll see what happens with Gleyber Torres. Don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but definitely a concern with him coming out of that game with an injury. All right, series tied 1-1. The Rangers won the first game. The Tigers won the second game. Sunday Night Baseball, that is the series finale with left-hander Tyler Holton starting for the Tigers in a bullpen-only game. Stay tuned to find out more.